I'm so excited to be here with you and to be moving with you. And I was so excited while I was writing this class that I wrote the next two classes last night. So I hope that you're enjoying them. And I know that it's hard to really focus and dedicate yourself to movement from home, harder than having to drive someplace and be there. So if there's anything you can think of that I can do to help motivate you to get these classes in so that you feel better and better in your body over time, please let me know. That's what I want to do for you. So if you have any ideas, let me know. And we're going to start with some rib breathing. And so you're welcome to tie a strap around your ribs. We are going to be laying on our stomach. So if there's a knot right here, it might not be comfortable. So you could tie it around the side. But you can also just focus around your rib cage. So below your chest, but quite a bit above your waist where you feel your bony ribs around the sides and the backs. And because we'll be laying on our stomachs, it will be a little bit easier to breathe into the sides and the back of the ribs. And we want to focus on this area as we're breathing. So when you inhale into the sides and the backs of the ribs and you feel them expand. And then on the exhale, you hug your rib cage in like you're trying to bring the sides of your ribs closer together to exhale everything out. So let's start on our bellies. And I'd like you to lay all the way down. And I will lay all the way down once I give you the instructions, but I can't talk, and it won't sound good if I talk when I'm lying all the way down. So come all the way down and lay your head to one side with your arms by your sides, palms maybe face down to the floor. And then from here, we're just going to start with about 5 rib breaths. So your head's turned to one side. You can always have something under it for a pillow, but start with 5 rib breaths. And then nice and slowly lift your head up and turn it to the other side. And then continue to breathe into the backs and the sides of your rib cage. Take about 5 more of those rib breaths. And then slowly bring your head back up. And now you're going to reach your arms overhead. And you can lay your head down or your forehead down on anything that's comfortable and take just a few more rib breaths here. Really focus on bringing the breath into the ribs and not as much into the upper shoulder girdle or the belly. And then you're going to stay on your belly and grab your strap and create a loop with your strap like a lasso and lasso it around your right ankle, lining up your knee right in line with your top outer hip. And then I would definitely recommend lying down here again. You can use your one hand as a pillow, but I'm going to keep my head lifted for mic purposes. Gently press your pubic bone, the bottom front of your pelvis, into the floor. Flex your ankle. A little more detail if you've been practicing a while. If your ankle flexes, for some people, their inner ankle tends to roll so that the inner arch is kind of dropping down. So if you know that's you, you can push your inner arch up towards the ceiling a little bit, as well as flexing your ankle. And just take a few breaths here, feeling into the front of your thigh muscles and breathing. And then let's switch legs. And you only want to pull your heel in so close that you just feel the front of your thigh. If you feel any discomfort in your knee, then definitely loosen your grip a little bit. And again, flexing, and if your ankle tends to roll to one side, even while you're flexing, you can push your inner arch up towards the ceiling a little bit. Pubic bone tilts down to the floor, knee in line with the hip. If you can't feel it in the center of your thigh, you might need to move your knee around a little bit to find that spot. And then breathing here. All right, and then release that. And from here, come on up onto your forearms, elbows stacked right underneath your shoulders, pelvis stays flat, both the top and the bottom, and then curl your rib cage up off the floor, feel your shoulder blades spread wide, and then let your ribs relax down. And curl up, shoulder blades spread wide, and relax down. 2 more. Curl up, and then relax down and curl up and hold. Feel your armpits lift up, feel your shoulder blades spread wide, elbows right underneath your shoulders. And then from here, drop your chin down to your chest, relax your neck, and rotate your chin a little bit side to side, from armpit to armpit. Go slowly. Notice the instinct to always rush. Especially when you're trying to retrain your body with alignment, you have to get into the habit of at least starting out very slowly. All right, let's come back to another quad stretch. We're going to vary this one a little bit. So make that lasso with your strap, loop it around your right ankle. And then from there, pubic bone presses down, ankle flexes, and then we're going to internally rotate our thigh bone. So you're going to let your knee drop out to the side a little bit. Or excuse me, your foot. And then you're going to switch and you're going to let your foot drop in a little bit as your pubic bone presses down. And you decide how much you pull your heel in towards your buttocks. And then come back to center and let's switch legs. So lasso your strap around your other ankle. And this is definitely more effective if you're lying down. You'll feel more when you're lying all the way down. So I'm upright, but not as effective. So let your torso lay down, let your head lay down for what we're doing today. Flex your ankle, pubic bone pushes to the floor, and then let your foot go out to the side a little bit. And then rotate your thigh bone so your foot turns in towards your other thigh. Pubic bone down, you can pull your heel in any amount. Breathing here. And then unwind and release that strap. And now you're going to come up into a Sphinx pose, but we're going to change the position of the arms. So you're going to turn your elbows out to the sides and still try to lift up your breastbone. Lift up your armpits. You might have to scoot your elbows back a little bit so they're more underneath your shoulders. And then from here, lift up the back of the head, keep the ribs lifted, and slowly turn and look to the right. And then turn and look to the left. And let's do that one more time. Slowly turn and look to the right, pressing down through your forearms, and slowly turn and look to the left. And then bring your head back to center. Let your stomach come down. Slide your hands next to your chest. Curl your ribs away from the floor first as you push yourself up. Come onto your knees. Knees hip distance apart. Thumbs spread out towards each other. We're going to do some rhomboid push-ups. And if it's okay on your wrists, think about what we learned last week in class about how when you bring your hands back a little bit so they're under your chest, you help relax those muscles next to your neck and use a little bit more of your lower shoulder blade muscles. So maybe scoot your hands back, your belly is relaxed, tailbone in the air, and then you lift your rib cage up without your tailbone tucking under, and let your rib cage drop down, maintaining 2 straight arms. So gravity on the way down and work on the way up. Feel the breastbone lift up, feel the armpits lift up. Keep rotating your elbow pits to face towards your fingers. And if you have that ability to kind of push your elbow pits forward, then back up your elbow pits a little bit. And let's do a few more like this. All right, next time you lift up, tuck your toes under one at a time. Maybe lift your knees a little bit to see if you can get a little bit more tuck, and then sit back on your heels with your knees and your ankles hip distance apart. If it's uncomfortable, then you can just stand up on your knees with your toes tucked under behind you and do all of this with your toes tucked under. Open your arms out to the sides, low chest level, palms face forward, and then wrap your right arm on top of your left arm. And open up, and then left arm on top of right arm, and open. Right arm, walk your fingers around, and open. Left arm on top, walk your fingers around, and open. Right arm on top, and open. Left arm on top, and open. Then right arm on top, hold, wiggle your fingers around, drop your elbows down, and then slowly drop your chin down to your chest. Check in with your feet. Are you steady on the center of your toes, the center of the ball of your foot? Lift your head up nice and slowly, open your arms out, left arm on top, drop your elbows down, drop your chin down to your chest. And then how about rolling your chin a little bit side to side? Soften the forehead, relax the cheeks into the jaw. And then bring your chin to center, slide your head back, open your arms up, and then release your hands down. And we're gonna go ahead and come right onto your back. So come onto your back. Feel free to put something underneath your head, especially if you tend to thrust your ribs. And then once you're on your back, you're going to tilt your tailbone towards the floor. So you have that natural little lift behind your waist. And if you find that with that lift behind your waist, your ribs thrust up a little bit, that's where you'd want to stack your ribs or your head a little bit higher so your ribs can drop down without your waist flattening. And then from here, you're going to lift your feet up hip distance apart, and you can hold onto your thighs, or if that's not happening without your pelvis tucking under, you can wrap a strap around the back of your thighs and hold on like that. But we're going to try to bring our thigh bones in without tucking our pelvis under. So what it looks like, and you can do it with me, when your thighs come in and your pelvis tucks under, it looks like this. So you feel your buttocks lift up. Roll your buttocks back to the floor. Now try to see how much you can bring your thighs in without your tailbone coming up. And then let go. So it's going to be a smaller motion, bringing your thigh bones in closer and away from you. The pelvis doesn't really move. Thigh bones come in closer. And one thing you can pay attention to is that lift behind your waist. It should stay pretty much the same. Thigh bones come in and release and thigh bones come in and release. All right, put your feet down, grab your strap again, wrap the strap around the ball of your right foot, right below your toes. And if you get it right below your toes, it allows you to more easily pull your foot into flexion. So if your strap is down here, it doesn't give you as much leverage. So put the strap right below the toes as you pull down. Extend your left leg long. Untuck your pelvis enough until the back of the left thigh comes down. Try to straighten the right leg all the way. And then from here, we're just going to loosen the grip on our strap a little so we can point and pull back on the strap. Point and pull back on the strap. Point and pull back on the strap. Straight leg, point and pull back on the strap. Now you're going to pull down a little bit on the right side of the strap. The outer edge of the foot goes down, and gently pull a little bit on the left side of the strap. The inner arch of the foot goes down. And then just go side to side a few times like that. Again, the instinct is to always go fast. Try to go slow. Because if it's a movement that your body hasn't done in a while and you start out by going fast, that's when you pull something and it only takes a couple seconds to pull something, and the discomfort can last from a short time to a longer time. So you want to really get out of that habit of jerking on things to save yourself from feeling discomfort for longer periods of time in your body. All right, so not everyone, but for a lot of us, our toes tend to point, so we're pulling back, and for some people, the inner arch tends to drop down, so like the outer edge of the foot goes up. If that's you, you have to work on moving your foot so the inner arch goes up, so it's truly like the sides of your foot are equal. It might feel like you are twisting your ankle at first, and then keeping your ankle in that position, open your leg, your straight leg, out to the right a little bit. And your elbows on the floor and your hands are kind of working like brakes to just hold it in the air. And then push down a little bit through your arms to bring that leg back up. Keep your right buttocks grounded as you take the leg across the body any amount. And as long as that tailbone stays down, you can always pull your thigh bone in a little bit closer to you. Check in your ankle. Did it twist in one direction or the other? Keep pulling back on the ball of the foot. Breathing here. All right, bring that leg back up. Now, before we go to the second side, we're going to give our fingers a little bit of a break. Bend your right knee, put your right hand on your right rib cage, and turn just the pelvis across. So the ribs stay down, just the waist and the hip are going over, but then you're going to let go of your hands, interlace your fingers, right pinky finger on the bottom, and press up towards the ceiling and spread your thumbs. So you're in a twist here, a pure twist with ribs down, pelvis turning, but then also stretching out the palms of your hands, your fingers, and your thumbs gently go away from each other. And then unwind. Let's twist on the other side before we stretch the other leg up. So bend the left knee. Left hand can start on the rib cage. Turn from the waist and the pelvis only. The ribs from the waist up stay down. And then keep that shape of your twist and interlace your left pinky finger on the back and flip your hands up towards the ceiling, right over your chest. Pressing through the palms. Keep turning from the hip without the ribs coming up. Tuning into your breath. And release. All right, grab your strap, wrap it around the ball of your left foot right below your toes, extend your right leg long, untuck your tailbone so the back of the right thigh comes down. Try to relax and straighten that left leg as much as possible, and then we'll get our strap nice and stable here because we're going to point. And then you're really not flexing, use the strap and pull back. So it's a passive flexion of your ankle. You're doing the work with your arms. Point, you work with your ankle, and then pull back gently on the strap. And point, and pull back, and point, and pull back. And then from there, we'll pull down on the right side of the strap a little and the left side of the strap, gently twisting the ankle. Pull down on the right side and the left side. 2 more. The right side and the left side and the right side and the left side, and then come back to center and find what center is for you. So not always, but it's very common when people flex that their inner arch turns towards so that they can see it. So if that's the case for you, push the inner arch up towards the ceiling and then take your leg out to the left a little bit, using your arms as brakes. Try to relax your thighs as much as possible. Breathing here. And then keep focusing on that position of your ankle as you bring your leg up, and keep your left hip grounded as you take it across the body. And as long as the back of the right thigh stays relaxed down, tailbone down, you can always pull that thigh bone a little closer to you. But be conscious, if you pull it closer and your pelvis moves, you're not moving at your hip joint, you're moving at your spine. And we're trying to get the hips to improve their range of motion. Lengthen long through the leg. Breathing here. In the same way, if you're here and your knee bends, you're working less in your hip joint and the motion moves down. I mean, there's some motion in the hip, so you could bring your foot farther away from you to get more length in your leg. And it might not feel as much, but you're targeting more of your hip. And that's how over time you're going to get your leg a little higher with your leg straight, is by starting lower. And then let that foot come up, release the strap, stretch your fingers out, curl them up, stretch them out, curl them up, and then bend your knees. And you can hold on to the back of your legs, but remember, the more that you kick through the legs, the more momentum, the less you're using your deeper core muscles, the more you're kind of staying in your hip flexors. Or you can hold your thighs in and try to get your spine to round, to roll yourself up and back. And you're rolling to about the center of your shoulder blades and back up. And we've just been adding this in a little lately. Breathing here. And next time you roll yourself up, find a comfortable seat. So high enough that you feel like your pelvis can rotate into neutral. I'm going to turn my dome over, and on the flat side, it'll allow me to rotate my pelvis down. Now, if your hips are really tight or the back of the legs are really tight, this probably won't be high enough. So stack yourself a little bit higher, and then cross your right ankle in front of your left ankle. And we did this at the end of last class, and I really enjoyed it, so hopefully you did too. Rotate your pelvis into neutral, relax your ribs down, take your right arm up and over into a side bend. Now hold the side bend, and it's just your right arm that's gonna move. Your arm's gonna come down and over, but the whole time your waist and ribs are leaning over. And down, and over, and down, and over, and down, and over. And then pushing through your hand to come up, and we'll switch sides. Opposite hand comes down, bend over from the waist and the rib cage, and it's just the arm that's gonna move. The arm comes back up, and over, and down, and over. Breathing, and down, and over, and down, and over. And then from there, pull your body up, switch the crossing of your ankles, putting your left ankle in front, and then tilt your pelvis into neutral, relax your ribs down, and you'll twist your belly button to your right. And now we're gonna change what we do with the arm. We're gonna do something a little different, but you're gonna take your right arm out your left arm out in front of you. You're twisting to the right, and then you reach across with that arm and open the arm, but without opening your twist. Reach across with the arm, the twist stays, your arm opens up. Do that 2 more times. Reach across, and open, and reach across, and open. Now turn your belly button over to the left. Keep tilting the pelvis upright, ribs relax down. Keep the turn of the belly button. Reach your right arm out and it opens and goes across. The whole time your torso and belly button are turning to the left. The right arm open and comes across. 2 more. Open and across and open and across, and then unwind that arm. You can uncross your ankles and bring the soles of your feet together. And then with the soles of your feet together, tilt your pelvis upright, ribs relax down. Bring your right arm in front of you, hand to the shoulder, elbow goes up without the ribs going up. So ribs relax down and back, pelvis tilts forward. Now hand to the shoulder or behind your shoulder, and from here we'll curl our elbow out and wrap it in next to the face. Elbow out and wrap it in. Elbow out and wrap it in. Elbow out and wrap it in. Let's switch arms. Right hand comes down, left arm goes forward, hand to the shoulder, ribs relax down as the elbow lifts any amount, and we take it out and curl it in. The hand stays pretty steady. Out and curl it in. And out and in and out and in. And then extend that arm, bring your hand down. Now you're going to extend your legs long into a V-sit, ankles flex, pelvis tilts forward. And I'm going to turn around for this one. So if you'd like to, while I'll turn around, just hinge forward from your hips a little bit with your toes pointing up into the air. And I'll show you this now because we're going to do it later when we're standing and you won't be able to see behind me. So again, pelvis tilts forward, ribs relax down. Now take your right arm out to the right. And then from here, take that arm and wrap it behind your back. And you're trying to slide your elbow in as close to your body as you can. And if it goes in all the way, you can start to work with different heights. So sometimes stay low, sometimes go a little higher. But if the elbow doesn't come in, then start low and stay there for a while. Now, if your left hand can reach over and feel your right shoulder, do you feel your right shoulder blade winging out? And if you can you flatten it a little bit? Can you pull your whole right shoulder forward so that shoulder blade flattens out a little bit? And over time, you'll be able to reach lower and lower. So you're just doing the best you can to flatten that out. And then you can stay here, or you can flip your hand over on your back. Sometimes the hand won't flip, that's okay, just do the best that you can. But once the hand flips, does the bony edge of the shoulder blade come back out? Can you slide your shoulder forward just to take out some of that bony edge, a little bit more of that bony edge? And then let's switch arms. Take your right arm out, take your left arm out to the side, thumb down, palm faces behind you, wrap behind your back. One side might be different than the other. Walk that elbow in close. Maybe take your hand up a little bit if the elbow stays in close, and then reach around and see if you can feel that edge of your shoulder blade and draw that shoulder blade forward. It seems counterintuitive, like why would I want to pull my shoulder blade forward because I don't want to hunch? But it's actually these muscles being tight that's keeping you from getting your shoulder girdle to spread wide, which is what we want. When your chest and your upper back both get lengthened, then you won't feel like your shoulders are hunching forward. So it seems counterintuitive, but it's actually working towards a place where these inner muscles will help support your shoulders going straight out to the side. So just let that shoulder roll forward, and then if you'd like to, flip your hand over, and then you can re-feel. And for me at this point, most of my upper shoulder blade flattens out, but my lower shoulder blade still sticks out a lot, and sometimes it's hard to feel. So I've got to work on getting these muscles underneath my armpit to come forward a little bit. Piece by piece over time. All right, and then release that arm. And then from there, let your pelvis sink back a little bit, bend your knees, come back onto all fours with your knees right underneath your hips, your forearms down on the floor, tuck your toes under as much as you can. Keep your belly relaxed. If your ribs tend to thrust to the floor, even with your tailbone up, you can lift your ribs up a little and just go forward and back a few times with your hips, tailbone nice and high. So just the same thing we were doing on our back a moment ago, but now we flipped it onto all fours. And breathing. All right, come on up to your knees. Step your right foot forward into a lunge. Pubic bone right under ASIS bones, and then you can go forward any amount that your pelvis stays in that neutral. Reach your left arm out to the side, and now you're just going to reach your arm out and then feel like you're drawing your arm bone into the socket. And just pay attention to your shoulder blade on your back. When you reach out, it might slide away from your spine a little bit. Very important here that the ribs are back and down. And then when you hug your arm bone in, the shoulder blade slides in towards your spine. Reach out and hug in. Reach out, hug in. Reach out, hug in. Good, let's switch sides. Step your right foot back, step your left foot forward, ankle in front of the knee or a little bit or just under it. Pubic bone can go forward as long as it stays under ASIS bones. And then reach your right arm out, chest level, and that arm will reach it out and feel like you're drawing your shoulder in towards your spine. Out and in. And for some people, there's not a lot of range of motion here at first. That's why we're working on it. Out and in, and out and in. Excellent. Tuck your back toes under, front ankle under your knee. Push down to step up, and then grab whatever you're using for a calf stretch. So you can use a dome, a thin block, a rolled up towel. I'll use my thin block today. But before we use the thin block, we're standing with our feet straight, our ankles hip distance apart, the outer edges of our feet. And then what we're going to do here is just let our weight go forward into the front of our feet, where if you drew a line down from the center of the hip, it's obvious that it's not going down in line with my ankle. And then you're backing your thigh bones up until the center of the hip is more over the center of the ankle. And go forward and back like that a few times. So we build neutral alignment from the ground up. Your feet are the base, and then your ankles can't really be in neutral unless your feet are straight, the outer edges of your feet are straight. And then the next piece is your thigh bones, getting your thigh bones back over your heels. And then the next piece is your pelvis. Is your pubic bone behind your ASIS bones, or is it in front of your ASIS bones, and getting to line up flat? But you can't know if your pelvis is neutral until your thigh bones are in neutral. So if your thigh bones are forward, your pelvis is definitely not going to be in neutral. So you've got to back your thigh bones up, and then notice what happens when I back my thigh bones up. Do I still tuck my pelvis under and clench the front of my thighs, or do I tend to push my buttocks back and my pubic bone goes back? So with your thigh bones back, then you determine where your pelvis is, so the front of it is in neutral. And then you're trying to relax the front of your thighs there. Keep that in mind. Come up into your calf stretch with the ball of your right foot up, outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. You can always step your outside foot forward a little bit, and let's just do the same thing there. But can you keep your pelvis somewhat in neutral as you back your thigh bones up and bring them forward? So just notice how much your pelvis moves when you move your thigh bones back and forward. This is a small motion, but you're trying to back your weight up into your heels and still keep your pubic bone underneath your ASIS bones. Let's switch legs. So ball of the left foot up, heel down. And at first, when people back their hips up, it might be okay to back your pubic bone up just to get your thigh bones back there. But over time, eventually, you're trying to get a neutral pelvis where that pubic bone is right under your top two bones. So your pelvis tilts until you get that. And then from here, move your thigh bones back and forth in your calf stretch. All right, step off of there. And now let's do, and you can always have a chair nearby, Outer edges of feet, straight ankles, hip distance apart. You're pushing down through your outer right hip and hugging it in. Let your left foot float up. Now how about doing the forward and back with your thigh bone of your standing leg? Let the pelvis and the hip go forward, back up into the heel. And maybe over time you can even feel the difference. When your thigh goes forward, you use more of the front of the leg muscles. When you back your hip up, you use more of the back of your leg muscles, and you try to relax the front of your thigh muscles. Next time you go back, tuck that top of the foot behind you. Keep moving your thigh bone back, but check your pelvis is in neutral. And if you need more clarity on what a neutral pelvis is, there's the alignment lesson under alignment lessons on the community tab on the site. All right, and then release that top of the foot, outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance, push down through the left hip, hug it in, flex your ankle, and now you want to go forward and back with your standing thigh bone. And see if you can feel the shift. See if you can feel the shift of the work from the front to the back of your leg. And if you still feel, when you back your hips up, if you still feel the front of the leg clenching, then you know you need to work on that, the relaxation of the front of the thigh. Much harder for me on this side to back my thigh bone up. I still dominantly use the front of my leg a little bit on my right side. For you, your left side. This is your left side. All right, next time you back your hips up, check where your pelvis is, and then tuck the top of that foot behind you. Breathing here. And keep backing the weight up, but checking the pelvis as well. If your foot cramps, just come out, let it relax. If the hip goes out to the side, hug it in. All right, and then release that foot from the top of the mat. Outer edges of feet straight, ankles hip distance or a little bit wider. Let's sit back into a chair pose and press up. Really push the hips and shins back and press up. Sit back, watch the inner thighs collapsing in or out, press up and sit back. Bring your hands down to the mat, right foot forward, left leg steps back. You can put blocks under your hands or flatten your hands here. Check the edge of the right foot is straight. Micro bends, bend your left knee a little and extend, but it's not the hips going up and down. So it's not the hip going down and up, it's just the knee bending a little and extend. And bend a little and extend. Bend a little and extend. Bend a little and extend. Bring your hands inside your right foot, walk halfway around, parallel your feet, put your weight back in your heels, push through the backs of the legs to come up. Turn your right toes out 90 degrees. Bend into your knee, a warrior two stance. Now reach your right arm forward, low chest height, and let's do the same thing. Reach out, draw the shoulder blade in. Maybe you can feel those lower armpit muscles engage. Reach out, draw in. Reach out, draw in. Reach out, draw in. Now keep that drawing in action. Rotate your palm up and go up into a reverse warrior. And it might not go as much if you keep that drawing in action. And then tap and extend. Tap and extend. Tap and extend. Tap and extend. Now tap, hold, slowly straighten your right leg all the way. Pull that elbow into the air, lean back with your torso, breathing, and then come back up, open your arms and tip over into a triangle pose, two straight legs, flip your top hand behind you, wrap it behind your back. Try to get that elbow in as close as you can, maybe dropping the hand closer to your buttocks. Breathing here, check where is your pubic bone in relationship to the top of your pelvis. Does it need to come forward? Does it need to go back a little bit? And then bend into that knee right over the ankle. You can put your elbow down, try not to sink into it though, lift out of it, and then maybe flip your hand over on your back. But remember, without reaching around, you don't want to pull the shoulder blade back because that's going to create more of that bony edge. Let your spine drop forward, let your shoulder drop forward to get into those middle back muscles, and then keep that and rotate your belly button towards the ceiling. Breathing here, head ramps back a little bit, and then unflip, extend your top arm, pull yourself up, parallel your feet. Rotate from your pelvis about halfway as you push your thigh bones back, and then bring your hands all the way to the floor. Walk back around to your right foot. Lower your knee down. Stand up in your low lunge. Turn your elbow pits forward, maybe your palms forward. Pull back, relax forward. So you're doing some arm swings here. Try to really feel like you're moving from the shoulder, so the upper arm. And can you get good at the relaxation? Because if you tend to be stiff, like you pull back and you can't help but lift your arms in front of you, that is affecting your gait pattern. Remember, the contraction and the release of the muscle are equally important. So can you pull back and really relax forward? Pull back, relax. Pull back, relax. Pull back, relax. Excellent. Slide your right knee to meet your left knee. Bring your hands down, thumbs open. If it's okay, back your hands up a little bit. Belly relaxes, tailbone in the air. Lift up through the breastbone. Feel the top of a rhomboid push-up. Wrap your elbow pits forward and bend your elbows and press up. Keep the lifting. It's common that when you bend your elbows, the spine wants to drop down. So that becomes your core work of keeping your breastbone lifted. Elbows hug in, bend down, and press up. The second thing beside the spine dropping down is as you bend, not only on the way down, but on the way up, the elbows might pop out. So make sure even on the way up, you're hugging your elbows to point straight back. And bend, and straighten. And if you're getting all the way to the floor, that means your hands are way in front of your shoulders to start with. So back your hands up a little more. Bend, hugging in, and straighten. Let's do 2 more of those. Bend, and straighten, and bend, and straighten. And then stand up on your knees, step your right foot forward, tuck your back toes under, push down to step up, outer edges of feet straight. From here, let's turn our feet slightly out to the sides and rotate our pelvis so our thigh bones move back. And then slowly come up, keeping your feet turned out to the side. Try to press equally into the balls of the feet to lift your heels up off the floor. Try not to let your ankles twist to one side and lower your heels down. Turn your feet in, parallel your feet, and then pigeon toe your feet and rotate from your pelvis to move your hips back. Belly relaxes, slowly come up, and then from here, lift up onto the balls of the feet, trying to press equally from the big toe to the pinky toe side. And lower your heels down. Last, turn the outer edges of your feet straight, rotate your pelvis so your thigh bones move back. And then slowly come up and push into the balls of the feet and try to get your heels to go straight up. And lower your heels down. Sit back into your chair pose and press up. Sit back and press up. Sit back and press up. Sit back, hold for a moment, fold over your legs. Step your right foot way back, maybe flatten your palms or use a block, bending your left knee right over your ankle, edge of the left foot straight, and then we'll do micro bends of the right knee. Bend and extend. Bend and extend. Bend and extend. Bend and extend. Hands come inside the left foot, walk halfway around to the right, parallel your feet, back your weight up into your heels, push through the backs of the legs, turn your left toes out, outer edge of the foot straight, bend into the knee, warrior 2 stance, reach your left arm out, low chest tight, and then the arm reaches out and draws into the socket. Maybe you can feel those lower muscles on the side of your shoulder blade. Reach out and draw in. Reach out and draw in. Reach out, draw in. Now keep the drawing in, flip your palm up, go into reverse warrior. Notice if that arm bone wants to pull out. Keep it drawing in as you go up. Breathing, and then tap and extend. Tap and extend. Tap and extend. Tap and extend. Now tap, hold, slowly straighten your left leg. Lift that elbow up as you lean your torso back. Breathing, weight in the heels of your feet, front of the feet gently press down. And then come up with your torso, open your arms, tilt over into a triangle pose. Check your pelvic alignment, weight in the heels, flip your palm, wrap it behind your back. Bring your elbow in as close as it will come. It can be down by your buttocks or higher up. Breathing here. And then bend into your left knee, hand or elbow to the knee without sinking in. Maybe flip your hand over on your back, but you want to widen that shoulder blade, but turn your belly button open to the sky or to the ceiling. Breathing here. Never forcing anything. And then unwind, reach that hand up, pull yourself up, parallel your feet, rotate your pelvis so your hips go back, hands to the floor, walk back around to your left foot, lower your right knee down, pubic bone forward, ribs relax down, and then we'll swing. But remember, the relaxation is so important. So you want to get those muscles to pull back and relax. Elbow pits forward. Feel the upper shoulder muscles pulling back. Can you feel your chest moving out to the side without your ribs pushing forward? Watch your front knee. Was it collapsing in like mine was? Check in with your back foot. Is your ankle right behind your knee? Ankle stable? All right, slide your left knee back to meet your right knee. Spread your thumbs out. Tailbone in the air. If it's comfortable, walk your hands back so they're more under your chest. Lift into the top of a rhomboid push-up where the belly's still relaxed. Wrap your elbow pits forward and bend and straighten. And maybe first you're working on not letting the elbows pop out on the way down or the way up. And then the next step is really keeping that lift, the top of the rhomboid push-up, which is challenging to do at first. Press equally through the palms of the hands. All right, next time you push up, come on back onto your knees, step your left foot forward, tuck your back toes under, and push down to step up. Okay, grab a block, and if you have a cork block, it would be more stable, it'd be good. And if you have a thicker block in this instance, this is one instance where a thicker block might come in handy. Now, if you have a foam block, like me, it's gonna be a little less stable, especially depending how hard it is. So you could always use something else. You could use an aerobic step. You could use anything. If you have stairs in your house, you could practice this on your stairs. Anything that you can step up onto. With your feet straight, ankles hip distance. So the ultimate goal, I'll show you our goal first, is after our foot's up and our heel is on the block. It's okay if your toes hang off, your heel's on the block. We're pelvic listing, which from our knowledge is not letting us sink into our hips, but we're pressing down and hugging our hip in so much that maybe our outside foot lifts higher than the foot. So you're putting your foot forward, but your foot's back a little. When you bend your knee and step up, you want to notice what your knee does, because whatever it's doing here, chances are it's doing it every time you walk up a hill or you're going up and down stairs. Does your knee collapse in? Does your knee go out to the side? More common is people's knees collapse in. So you're keeping your knee stable as you lift up off of the ball onto the ball of the back foot and press up into your pelvic lift. and then step the foot back. The knee bends. Watch the knee, keep it open and stable as you push down to step up. And go back. And when I go back, I notice my knee goes in a little bit, so be conscious of that as well. Thigh opens, lift up off the ball onto the ball of the back foot, push down to step up, really get that pelvic lift going. The standing leg is doing the work. And then step back. Let's do one more on this side. Push down, thigh opens, press into the outer hip as you press up, and lower the foot down. Let's switch legs. All right, foot up, your toes can hang off. Make sure your heel's on. A thick book that is stable would work well for this. And then from here, you're going to step your back foot back a little bit. As you bend your front knee, you're coming up off the ball of the foot. So another thing to be conscious of is your knee going way past your ankle. As the more you use these hip muscles, your leg should just straighten right up. But remember, use that back foot. That back foot is important when you're going up in hills and when you're going upstairs too. We forget about the importance of the back leg. And this is where your calf muscles work in action, real life functional movement. So lift up, push down, and come on up. Definitely my harder side. Pelvic lift, push down and hug it in. And step the foot back. Watch the knee as you lift up the ball of the back foot, push down to come up, and step back. And from here, watch the knee collapsing in or out, push down, hug the hip in, and step back. We need more practice on this side. Thigh drops open, push down, hug the hip in. Oh, now I'm feeling those outer hip muscles start to turn on. And step back. Let's do one more. You choose which side you want to do one more on. So scoot the block over if you need to. And from here, thigh drops open, push down, hug the hip in as you come up. And you're trying to push down so much that your other foot floats above the block and lower down. Okay, you can have a chair nearby for balance if that helps you back your weight up into your heels and also then work on your pelvis. But for this next stretch, this is what part of why I've been working up to this. You want your thigh bones back, but you don't want your pelvis to come out of neutral. So can you bring your pelvis into neutral without your thigh bones going forward? So you've got to feel your own bones, because for some people when they back their thigh bones up, their pelvis doesn't tilt out of neutral. And the stretch we're going to do is a quad stretch with feet straight, ankles hip distance. Push down through your right hip, hug it in, lasso the strap around your ankle, pull up any amount. Try to touch your knees so you know that that knee is not going in front of your other knee. Back your weight up into your heels, and then is your pelvis in neutral. Breathing here. So you're trying to back your thigh bone up so it doesn't pop in front of your other knee. But then when you pull that thigh bone back, where does your pelvis go? Can you keep the pelvis in neutral with pubic bone under the ASIS bones? And then switch. You can continue to use a strap. Better at first to use a strap than to hold on to your foot. But what we want to do when you're pushing down through your left side, hugging your hip in, when you bend your knee, if we hold on to the foot, we put slack. So can you reach down and hold on to the leg, to the shin? And then from there, back that thigh bone up so they touch each other. Is your pubic bone tilting back? Can you bring your pelvis into neutral as you back that thigh bone up? And it will definitely change the sensation you feel in the front of the hip. Ribs relax down, ears slide back over the shoulders. Breathing here. Lower belly relaxes. All right, and then release that leg. So good. Okay, from the top of the mat, either side. Let's inhale, circle our arms up. Exhale, rotate from your pelvis halfway back. Sit back into a chair pose. Bring your hands down to the floor. Step back into a plank pose. And then from your plank pose, elbow pits forward, ribs up, put your knees down softly. So you're in a modified plank, but still working like you're doing the top of a rhomboid push-up. And then you're just gonna push your hips back. 2 straight arms. Watch the ankles caving in or out. And come forward. Rotate the elbow pits forward. Find the top of a rhomboid push-up. And push your hips back. And come forward. Ribs up, elbow pits wrap forward. Push your hips back. And go forward, steady through the feet. And push your hips back. And come forward. And then this time just push your hips back, walk your hands back. Use something for a side bend. You can use a dome, you can use a block, you can use a towel, you can use a towel with a block. Lay with one side of your rib cage below your armpit, above your waist, over whatever you're using. Make sure your head can rest on your arm or a pillow. Your top arm reaches up and over, either to the floor or a block. And when you see me do this, a lot of the time I use a block at the lowest height, the medium height, the highest height. Today I'm just going to bypass using a block to do something different. But you don't always want to do end range of motion, so keep that in mind. How about some of those rib breaths that we started with? Bring your top hand in front of you, press yourself up, either just turn around or spin yourself around. Below your armpit, above your waist, body in one long line. Make sure your head is comfortable. Top arm can reach over on a block or a support or just overhead. And breathing here. How about some of those rib breaths? Make sure your ribs aren't pushing forward. That's going to make it a lot harder to breathe into the sides and the backs of the ribs. So ribs back up a little bit. And then bring your arm up, put it in front of you, press yourself up a little bit, and then you're going to come onto your back. So whatever you'd like underneath your head for support, come on down to your back. Let's do a couple more of those squats. So hands behind your knees, keep your tailbone away from you, and just see how much you can move your hips without your spine taking the load, without your pelvis tucking under. So subtle lift of the waist. And then next time you hug in, let your pelvis tuck under nice and slowly. So nothing wrong with this motion at all, but just our awareness that, oh, this is loading the spine more than the hips. And when I come into this and I'm trying to pull my thighs in, if my pelvis automatically moves, that translates to when you're doing a squat and you're load bearing, meaning your feet are on the floor and you're actually doing a squat, chances are you're loading your spine more than your hips. And that doesn't make any sense because our hip muscles are the biggest muscles in our bodies, our thighs. We want them to be supporting us. But yet, due to a lot of our cultural habit patterns, a lot of us are moving with very little activity around our hips. And I discovered that after, doing classes every single day for years. When I started learning about biomechanics, I was like, wow, I'm not using my hips very much to move. And it's so interesting, it's fascinating, and it's wonderful that our bodies can get us around even when we're not using portions of our muscles. But when we get those muscles to wake up, it's a very different feeling in your body. Not only on the muscular skeletal level, but all the way to the cellular level. Because then you're getting more circulation and your cells are able to regenerate in a healthier way. And your hips and your pelvis organs are very important to your health. Straighten your legs nice and slowly. You can always stick something under your knees if that's comfortable. You can have something a little higher under your shoulders and head. Flip your palms up. Let your gaze soften or your eyes gently close. Stay present with your body, with your breath. In any situation, there are infinite number of possible outcomes. For many of us, our thoughts automatically go to worst case scenarios, as if in doing so, we protect ourselves or prepare ourselves. What if instead we become aware that there are many options? What if we begin to trust ourselves, knowing that no matter what happens, we will handle it appropriately, and there's no need to brace ourselves for what we imagine? There is a feeling of relief that comes from breathing, letting go of the need to control, and just focusing on the present moment. If you're ready to move your body, sometimes just being still until you're ready to roll to one side is what feels amazing. So you can just be still, or you can reach your arms overhead and reach through one arm and the other arm and reach a little longer through one leg and the other leg, or move in any way that feels good to you. And when you're ready, roll over to one side. Pause on your side. So we're in the present moment. First of all, thank yourself for taking a class that asks you to be in the present moment over and over again, paying to your feet, paying attention to your knees, paying attention to your ankles. What a great practice of being in the present moment. Now set an intention, a purpose as you go into this weekend, just for this moment. After you set it, oh, I want to do this in my life. Let it go. Let me give you an example. I've been setting an intention for a long time that I'm going to start fasting more. Not extreme fasting, but maybe a day here, a day here. I just know from my own experience of already fasting for shorter periods of time, my body feels good when I give my digestion that break. I have been setting that intention for probably about a year now, and I have not followed through. But I have other intentions that the same thing happened, and I said it, and 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, all of a sudden, I started following through on the intention almost as though it was easy. So you don't know why or why not you're not following through on the things you want to do. It could be timing, it could be there's a different plan for you, but plant the seeds of what you think is in your best interest, and keep planting them. And trust. With ease, press yourself up to a comfortable seated position, bringing your hands to heart center in gratitude for understanding that there are infinite options to every scenario. In gratitude for being in the present moment. In gratitude for this day. Namaste.